Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome into another episode of Good Morning NASDAQ. As Dom would say on the year of our Lord, August 27th, 2024. What is going on, everyone? What is going on, chat? 53 of you guys. Lovely faces in here, although I shouldn't say faces. I can't see you all, but I wish I could. Wayne, Jeff, CJ, Joseph, sorry, not Joseph, Ty, Master Fun, Wayne, Ty again. Welcome everyone in. Huddy, any kind words for the viewers to start off the day?
What's going on, everybody? Hope everyone is doing great on this fine Tuesday morning. Just kind of looking at the field right now, not a whole lot going on. Kind of a slower pre-market than we've had in the past 2 weeks. Although a couple gappers that we're going to jump right on into just here in a second. As you guys know on Good Morning NASDAQ, these are just a way of us to talk about the market environments to you guys and go over the things that are gapping up on news or dilution or whatever it is, just to get your guys' head in the right space and eyes on the right tickers. I don't think we really have any actionable ideas to play the tickers we're going to talk about here today. If you guys want to know more about our watch list, that's in the clovertrading.io room. But without further ado, let's jump on into the first gapper that I see, if you're okay with that, Kyle
Yeah,
Williams.
let's roll right in. I agree. I not much I'm seeing pre-market, but also I'm kind of happy about it. Little side note before we start. I can't remember a really solid month where I've had multiple days with no trades, because that used to be a very common thing. Where it's like I'd have 3 or 4 days a month where I'd be like, yeah, no trades. Didn't do much. And I feel like the last 6 months it's been like every single day. And I know there's a day in there that I haven't taken a trade. It's not like I'm like just glued to the desk and I just can't leave. Like I'm not a prisoner. But I just think there's just been something always offering almost every day. And if nothing offered today, I would not be upset. I'd feel a little relieved. So with that being said, let's take a look and see what we got. ENSC. I think it's our biggest gap of the day. Just to confirm, let's double check that. Yes, ENSC. We're up 65% as I look at it. Recent news pre-market here, which we'll take a look in a second. What is the name of the company? Ensign?
Inside.
Ensign Biosciences? As Ty was saying, biotechs. Yep, I feel you there. Better hit or miss. Either they're a pain in your butt or they are pretty nice sometimes, but usually pain in the butt. Let's check out the news. Let's see what's going on here. Looks like a possible 7 million float. Receives a $14 million grant for clinical development and novel opioid and overdose protection. Don't know what that means. When I hear opioid and overdose protection, I think just take the drugs away, because I don't know how you prevent that otherwise. Federal grant funding awarded. Date now to 40 million. Okay, nice. Also, it's not even like you could just take drugs away easily. People always get their hands on them, right? Daily chart, as always, top left to bottom right. Let's if we go back a little bit more. Yep. Oh wow. Probably some few reverse splits in there. This has never been trading at 3,800. This is always just faded ever since it started, unfortunately. A few runs, right? There's a couple multi-day runs here, 1 or 2 days. But usually the top days are met with hard wicks or even gap and crap like days. Not much has happened in the last year or so, except for a few gap and craps. You've got a run day and a huge wick, another gap and then a crap. And then maybe a couple of days there. And now we're here. Before we look into dilution tracker, thoughts, Huddy?
So the PR to me, it reads like something that's like going to happen. It's not happening. So, the phrase that I pick up on will be the funding issued by the National Institutes of Health and the National Institute of Drug Abuse will be available over approximately 3 years, allowing the company to complete a phase 1B trial. So the money will come over 3 years, and what it also tells me is that it allows them to complete phase 1B, which is like pretty beginning stages of their drug development, which means newer company, less mature, less cash, they're going to need to probably make some cash over the next 3 years, other than this grant, right?
Right.
Um, and that kind of leads me to their warrants, which are sitting there at a buck oh six.
All right, let's take
And
a look.
so I guess, yeah, just pull up dilution tracker as we kind of go through
And
it.
when you say that they're going to receive funding over the next 3 years, and that funding will allow them to fund their phase 1B trial, my brain goes, holy crap! Like they're not specific enough. Where I think, wow, they need all that money after 3 years, and then they can fund their phase 1B. It's like I wonder if they only need a couple more millions after year one they can fund it. But it's like, wow, if they have to wait 3 years to fund their first trial, like this stock, who knows how much lower the stock's going to be by the time they even can fund that. So yeah, not great in terms of timing without any more specifics. But dilution tracker here, lead us the way, Huddy.
Yeah, so just a situation where, the first things that I'm glancing over are the float and the market cap that he's already talked about. Overall risk is high here across the board, except for the offering ability. But the part I care about is the fact that they already have an offering. So you can see by that big blue candle that on dilution tracker, it says it's got like how many warrants? 10 million warrants.
Yep.
And they don't have a lot of cash and they have a lot of time. So just kind of scrolling through it, you're going to find a bunch of warrants priced in the dollar area. So if I'm looking at the daily chart here, I'm seeing $1.06 has 3.6 million, 3.8 million, then $1.50 has 2.4 million. So I'm just drawing lines on my chart at these levels. They don't necessarily have to be. There's no guarantee that they're going to sell these warrants if they get up to these prices, but if they do get up to these prices, I definitely want to see how the stock reacts. So I might just, like, if I'm marking my charts, I might draw a line at 106 and say, hey, this is a potential area where there is overhead supply. So if we spike into this area, I want to, just have a mental note about what's there.
I like it. Yeah. And those warrants were right. If we go back real quick, let's go scroll up. February 2024 and also February 2024. So that's 7.2 million warrants just right there. And again, since February 2024, it has not even seen over a dollar. Maybe for a few days in February, but it quickly sold under, probably because the warrants were being used, and has not had a big volume day since. Right. So again, we have to do what we did yesterday with what was it, MIRA. You have no cash. You're not getting this 15 million over a much slower period over 3 years. Is not going to keep you afloat. You have these warrants you haven't been able to use since February, and all you need to do is push it 40 cents, 30, 40 cents higher than where you currently have it. Whether they can do it or not, we will find out. But if they can, they're going to I think they're going to be happy campers. So we'll have to see there. Otherwise, Now, one last thing. Just because there are warrants there does not mean they have to get it there, right? I as a long trader would not say I'm going to immediately buy this because they have to take it to 106. They just don't, right? The high of day could be today's pre-market at 87, right? We just don't know. Now, however, if they do go to 107, then great, but I wouldn't long at that point. So it's like it's a tough dynamic to be in, and unfortunately not a setup or a repeatable strategy that I know of, unless you can track. That'd be kind of a cool thing to track, like very unique scenarios like this. And then can we find out, do they end up running to their dilution prices? Like, is there a manipulator frequently involved that gets them to where they want to go? Be an interesting find. But anyways, next gapper, ADXN. Let's check it out.
Float du jour.
Oh. $12 stock. Ooh, yeah, the chart's a little been very low volume. Already pre-market's one of the highest volume days in a long time. And as always, your typical top left, bottom right. But let's look at down here. Yeah, weird. Just all of these, any runs this has had has been super liquid. There's one strong day of volume here, and that was short-lived. So very odd mover. What's the float here, Huddy, that you were saying?
It's like at 1 million, maybe a little bit underneath.
Okay, yep. I'm getting 700K to 1 million. News, Global Newswire. select clinical candidates from GABAB positive allsteric modulator research collaboration. I think they try to use words to confuse us. I really do. I don't know what that means. Maybe I'm just dumb. But clinical stage, yeah, I mean, another biotech. Shout out to Ty, your favorite. This is again, like I said, did we talk about this yesterday or maybe it was Friday? It was like, this is just one of those PRs where I just don't care. This means nothing to me. It is too mumbo jumbo. Maybe it's great for all you biotech nerds out there, but
Nerds.
smarter people than I am. But I could care less. This is just distraction from possibly getting the stock higher. Speaking of which, let's look at why it might need to be higher. ADXN. So medium risk, indeed a low float. So it's like that 800K range, million to the max. Offering ability low, but historically is high, and they need cash badly. Looks like you said the same thing as ENSC. Looks like they got warrants that would give them $500,000 in warrants, or 500,000 shares in warrants, which is really not that much. If this trades a ton of volume, they're going to be just a-okay. And it looks like they're at $20, and we're at 12. So whether we get there again, this is a day of can the warrants be activated across the board on the gappers. Any other thoughts there?
I don't know why this screams offering to me, but it kind of does. I see like a price target from HC Wainwright recently that has a $30 per share price target. This PR talks about, I saw the $300 million number in there, and this is an 800K float. So it's just like, I think something's afoot here, but again, it's kind of like too much of a low float for me to really want to deal with it too much and read too much into it. Like I just don't have a hard time trading these usually. So I'm probably not going to trade it at all, and probably not even watch it. Because again, it's only really a 50% gapper and it's a low float. I don't really see a clear intention here, and I don't really understand the news all that much either. So
Right.
one that I definitely just kind of want to shy away from because I can't really see any angle that makes sense. So it's like kind of a 50-50 whether it goes up or down, or whether an offering comes or not.
Right. And now I'm educating myself on what Dilution Tracker deems low is like, even though it's a low offering ability, could they still do it like quickly? Absence of an active shelf, pending S1. Remaining capacity, yeah. So, I mean, obviously we know long-term why they're here. I mean, we kind of know why most of these small caps are long-term right here, sadly. But yeah, I agree, Huddy. I have no intentions of really maybe even watching this. I'll check on it late day, and if it's still up, great. We have a runner on our hands. But in the meantime, I have zero intention of really ever looking at this ticker for the rest of the day, to be completely honest. So other than that, I mean, I don't think there's any other great gappers. I think there's SMFL. I pulled that up earlier, but now that is down. It's only 33%, so not even really a great gapper. There's TRIB. We can take a quick look without really going too much detail. Just another 50% gapper. Nothing special, right? Same old. Ew, ugly. Dilution real quick. TRIB, Tribe, Trinity Biotech, 7 mil float, medium across the board, 12 months of cash left, so different from the previous ones. And yeah, nothing special at 50%. It just doesn't excite me. We like the 70, 80, 90, 100, 200, 300, 500% gappers. Not these little 40, 30, 50, Anyway, should we do some questions, guys? We got a few more minutes, possibly an early episode today, just because not a lot going on, but that is okay. We will still get some questions in. As always, 120 of you guys in here. How do you give them a number? What do we want today?
55.
We want 55 likes. We're 9 away. I've already liked it. I've already sent it to my grandmother, guys. So it's all on you. I apologize.
High pressure.
High stakes here. 53. That's what I'm talking about. Remember we talked about on like Wine Wednesday one day of trading the like button?
trading the like button.
Yeah, how bad would that be?
I don't know. All I know is that if I see 70, I'm gonna be real happy.
There we go. Oh, he has a secondary number. Anyways, you guys are awesome. Feel free to ask your questions. So we only have, I think, one in here. Fuad says ENSC would wonder why the PR is now showing on Delusion Tracker. I don't know. Delusion Tracker could just be late. They're not initially a news-based website. They are a delusion-based website, which can take time to really develop. So yeah, they could just be late to the game. It pays to be fast and timely, right? Like it pays to have data immediately as it comes out. So from a cost standpoint, I could see a world where Delusion Tracker is like, hey, we're not prioritizing news per se. We're just prioritizing, dilution. I could be wrong. And Delusion Tracker, if you're out there, please correct me if I am. But that would be my guess as to why you're not seeing the news maybe quickly.
Yeah. If you want to see news quickly, I recommend a tool called News Edge, or Bloomberg Terminal. Those are great ways to get news sources like very timely. That Dilution Tracker is not your thing there. And if you have scans as a scanner, you can get like ping alerts to your phone on the tickers you're watching. I know some traders use that and can be very helpful. I mean, news can make or break a play.
I agree. Ty says, give me a 2016 dries. Oof. I don't know if you mean in terms of the dilution after the fact or the run that it gave us. It's not even a ticker anymore. Yeah.
Give me a 2016 drives. I think he or she wants a runner to go from 5 to 100 on a bunch of volume.
Yeah. Okay, here it is. It doesn't even. They've done so many reverse splits since then. But yeah, it never was trading at 780,000. It was never there.
But honestly, that chart, I remember like it was yesterday. Like this was not an easy thing to trade,
No.
even if you were like long or short biased. I mean, like look at the chart, look at those 4 days. Like when are you realistically getting in, right? I remember I was kind of buying it in the nines, I remember, and in the moment, like it felt very uncomfortable, and you had to like stay for 2 days just to get to like the higher prices, and then look at the gap down day. It's like I remember it closed at like 115 and opened up at 60. So it's like, okay, you might be convicted on the gap down day, but it's wide risk.
Yeah. I think it was halted a full day, right? Because this was on November 15th, and it reopened the 17th. And unless there was a holiday, like there's no 1 day weekend, right? Like the 16th
Maybe
is
it's
missing.
Veterans Day, but I don't think that would make sense.
Yeah. I remember specifically the biggest. This is what taught me like maybe the first sign of how real short squeezes can get created, because I didn't trade this at all back then. I was too new. But I think on the second day here, it looked like it topped massively. Like it was so oversold off its highs. Everyone and their mother was like, yep, that's it. It's dead. Only to then recover and come back and then just blow faces off, right? This high here, for those who aren't familiar, this high of 800,000 is not 800,000. It was a 115. It got halted, I believe, because they were just going to keep on going. And back then, the NASDAQ was maybe a little more friendly with trying to tame the volatility. So they halted it. It went from 5 to 115 in these 4 days and opened back up, like what he said, 60-ish, and faded massively back down to probably what looks like maybe 10 or 20. But then what proceeded after the fact was also historic, which was the company then brought on a period of dilution that I've never seen before. I think they probably made who knows how many hundreds of maybe billions of dollars from selling shares versus running the actual business of their company. They just diluted this thing into the ground. If you just keep going further and further and further, and then finally it stopped being a stock. And that stopped when? When did that stop? September of what year? 2019. So they had 3 good years of just destroying this thing into the ground. Anyways, little history lesson for everybody. Chris asks, what Clover package teaches you strategies? Does it have a daily watch list? Thanks. Yes. So we have 3-leaf, 4-leaf. Both offer the watch list and the chat room and the trade alerts. The one where you're going to learn any particular strategy. Well, one, if you do Clover Academy, which is free if you use the coupon code FREE, that doesn't necessarily go into strategy, but it does go into quite a few chart setups that we use and look at. However, getting into the nitty gritty of like actual setups and strategies would be in our webinars, which is where 4-leaf has access to them. The one, I think the one weakness we have, if I'm being honest, and I think how do you can agree or disagree, is the strategies are in there. Are they perfectly organized for you? Where like, okay, here's this setup, here's this setup. Not necessarily, right? Every webinar is different. Every webinar is based on what setup we see that day. And so if you want to really dive in on a breakout setup, right, you're going to have to go in and watch all of the breakout webinars, right? I did make a webinar specifically for every setup under the sun that we possibly could trade. I think I did a webinar on like 15 or 16 setups. So we call that the setup webinar. That's really the one-stop shop to see all of them. However, I don't go into super big detail into any of them because it was like an hour and a half long webinar, and I went through 16 just for face value of what it means and what they are and what are the indicators, etc. But never went into super in depth for each one. That's where the individual webinars come in. Where if there's only gappers, Huddy and I talk about gappers. We have a webinar today. We'll probably talk about how ENSC plays out later today. If there's a first red day and we get it live, like I'll talk about the first red day live, right? So it's in there. It's just not going to be packaged up in a bow and handed to you, right? You kind of have to do some digging. Got to be able to want to do some studying, and get in dirty, start looking. So
Yeah, I agree. Four leaf is more like hands-on, like classroom setting, like you're going to learn from lessons of the week, and the video lessons is where you're going to find like detailed versions of the setups. And then we also have trading tickers, which is also another great place to learn the setups.
right. However, trading ticker is not part of four leaf. It's just a separate thing that you can buy from
Yeah.
Cortani.
If you just want like the textbook.
Yeah, that we all know and love. All right, we'll do one or two more questions here. El Jefe, how much emphasis do you guys put on the strength of the market cycle when making your plan? For me, I noticed the number one gappers are a bit cleaner movers when there's a lot of movers, a lot harder on crowded, slow days. Excuse me, sorry. What I think, I wouldn't say you're confused about this. I would say this is different causation, if that makes sense. Different reasons for that. I don't look at like the cycles of what markets we're in. Like I'm not a global analysis to know how well the SPY and the QQQ are doing and how that then directly impacts small caps, right? I'm not some big in-depth guy when it comes to that. However, you mentioned how on gappers where there's a bunch of runners, they're pretty easy, and how gappers on a slow day, they're very tough. That has nothing to do with the overall markets. That has everything to do with the psychology of everyone who's trading small caps, right? You like ENZC might be difficult today. Why? Because every trader under the sun who wants to trade a gapper is watching that one. That is the biggest gapper of the day. It is the only biggest gapper of the day by far, and there's nothing remotely close. So everyone who's bored, everyone who's used to trading every day, everyone who doesn't want to take a day off is immediately watching this ticker and immediately finding a way to justify them trading it. So it gets very crowded. Everyone's trading it. Everyone's doing something they don't need to be doing. Hence, that ticker gets very difficult for pretty much everybody. Vice versa, you have a day where there's 10 gappers. There's 5 gappers. There's 3 runners. There's 2 more breakdowns and 2 more breakouts. There's 15 setups across the board for every trader under the sun in small cap to trade. Yeah, every trader is going to take their 1 or 2 or 3 at max, and then it's going to be dispersed across, like the volume is going to be dispersed across those 15 names or so in this example. So ergo, the ones that should fade probably fade more easily because there's only, 0.1% of short sellers that are in there had it only been the one runner of the day, right? As I say, ENZC is spiking right now, right? So nothing to do with overall market cycles. I think everything to do with the psychology of everyone who's participating this very day on that day. So hopefully that helps. Let's see. Ty asks, I've been struggling with learning first green days. How do you talked about 1 day consolidation and then breakout in a video? Is that technically a first green day, or do you like multi-day consolidation?
Well, I've like for the most part stopped playing first green days entirely. So it's a tough question for me to answer, but I think there's a difference when like there's so many variations of a first green day that's why it's kind of tough to speak on. Where like you can have a first green day, which is much like a first red day, where you have like just three, like you have a stock that goes on a multi-day run that has 3 straight red days off the multi-day run, and then like that first time it's going green is like a sign for short sellers to cover. So that I think that is like your typical first green day where it's like stock goes parabolic, pulls back into the breakout level over multiple days, finds that support level again and bounces off of it. Like that is your textbook first green day. But there's also like reversals, which, stock goes on a massive run, has at least one red day, and then like is kind of still close to the breakout level, like to the point where if shorts are like kind of being overly patient or overly aggressive, that stock can like kind of reverse off those lows and come right back to the breakout level. Um, there's just two versions of first green days. I really don't play either of them anymore because I don't really like them. So it just depends how you want to like look at the setup. It really depends on, what you're aiming for, right? I just found a lot of losses in this boat of setups. So I got over it.
There you go. Well, alrighty, guys, that is our time. If there's any questions I didn't get to, feel free to save them possibly for tomorrow. We will be here once again for some live trading, and not 8:45 Eastern, but 9:15. We'll do, 15, 20, 30 minutes of some live trading in action. Hopefully it's a little more jam-packed than this morning. But without further ado, make sure to like and subscribe. I think we're close to, again, the 4K range again, or 5K. I don't even know where we're at. I don't remember. But have a great day, guys. Enjoy yourselves. Be the best version of yourselves you can be. Shout out to Dom. Probably see him tomorrow, possibly Wine Wednesday, I think. For Leafs, you guys have a webinar with Huddy and I in about an hour and a half-ish. And we'll see you guys all there. Peace out, everybody. Later.